Here's what many CELPIP candidates don't realize until it is too late. Strong English skills alone are not enough for a high listening score. You can have good English skills and still score low on the listening test. This happens when you don't know what to listen for. High-scoring candidates use a completely different approach. They don't just start listening and hope they will find the correct answers. They also don't take notes randomly. Instead, they follow a clear strategy. And that strategy is what gets them to CLB 9, 10, and 12. This is the approach candidates use inside our CELPIP packages. They discover how strategic preparation can make a real difference in their results. In this video, you'll learn 10 essential tips for scoring high in CELPIP Listening Part 1, Listening to Problem Solving. By the end, you'll know how to prepare for this part of the listening test. If you're feeling unsure about CELPIP listening, keep watching. This might be the approach you've been looking for. Let's start with tip number 1. Understand exactly what Part 1 is testing. Part 1 is called Listening to Problem Solving, and it features a conversation between two people who don't know each other very well. One of those speakers has a problem, and the other one is trying to help them solve it. You might hear, for example, a customer talking to a store employee about a return, or a bus passenger asking a driver for directions. The conversation is divided into 3 separate audio sections. Each section is about 1 to 1.5 minutes long. After each section, you'll hear 2 or 3 questions. You have 30 seconds to hear and answer each question. That's not much time. When you understand the structure of this part, you know what to expect before the audio even starts. You're not going in blind, you're going in prepared. That's a huge advantage that many candidates overlook. Here is tip number 2. Read the introductory statement carefully before the audio begins. At the start of Part 1, you'll see a brief description of the situation. This tells you who the speakers are and what their relationship is. For example, it might say something like, "A woman is asking a pharmacy technician for help finding a medication." This introductory statement is incredibly valuable because it gives you context before you hear a single word of audio. The moment you know the situation, you can start predicting what kind of problem is being discussed and what kinds of solutions might come up. High-scoring candidates never skip this step. They use the introductory statement to mentally prepare themselves for what's coming. The third tip is to take notes in a logical order while you listen. The conversation in Part 1 moves quickly, and since you can only hear the audio once, you won't have a second chance to catch something you missed. The most effective approach is to jot down keywords and short phrases as you listen. Don't try to write everything. Just focus on the important details. Write down what the problem is, who has the problem, and what solutions are mentioned. The questions will follow roughly the same order as the information appeared in the audio. Consequently, organized notes can help you find your answers quickly. Additionally, use short forms and abbreviations to save time. For example, use PROB for problem, SOL for solution, W for the woman, and M for the man. The more efficient your system is, the more mental energy you can keep focused on actually listening. Now, here is something important. Many CELPIP candidates think that knowing a few listening tips is enough to get a strong result, but it's not enough. To do well in CELPIP listening, you need to understand what each part tests and which strategies to use to find the answers quickly. That's exactly what we teach in our CELPIP packages. Our students get step-by-step guidance on how to approach the listening test effectively, so they feel confident and ready on test day. They learn how the listening test is designed and what skills they need to find the answers fast. Our CELPIP packages include lessons for all tasks, sample answers, mock tests, templates, and much more. If you want expert guidance for your CELPIP preparation, click the link below to learn more. Let's move on to tip number 4. Focus your attention on the problem and the solutions that are offered throughout the conversation. This is the central structure of every part 1 conversation, and once you understand this, the entire audio becomes much easier to follow. As you listen, ask yourself 3 questions. What is the problem? What solutions are mentioned? Which solution does the person end up choosing? The answers to these 3 questions can help you answer a large number of the questions in this part. In fact, many part 1 questions are directly related to the problem-solution structure of the conversation. For example, if the audio is about someone trying to return a product without a receipt, note down what the problem is. No receipt. Then track any solutions the employee suggests. Store credit, an exchange, or speaking with a manager. When the question asks what the employee offered, you'll have exactly what you need in your notes. Here is tip number 5. Understand the 3 types of questions you'll encounter in part 1. Knowing the question types helps you approach each question with the right strategy instead of guessing. The 3 types are general meaning questions, specific information questions, and inference questions. General meaning questions ask you about the big picture, what the speakers are mainly talking about, or what the overall point of a section is. Specific information questions ask you about one particular detail that was mentioned, like a name, a place, a number, or a fact. Inference questions are the most challenging because they ask you to draw a conclusion about something that wasn't stated directly. For instance, how a speaker is feeling or what the speaker will probably do next. When you see an inference question, look for words like probably or most likely. These are your signal that the answer isn't stated word for word in the audio. You'll need to use the details you heard and think logically about what they suggest. Tip number 6 is to pay close attention to voice cues and tone throughout the conversation. In part 1, one of the speakers is trying to help the other. The way the speaker speaks tells you a lot about their attitude and emotions. This is especially important for answering inference questions correctly. For example, someone might say, "I suppose we could try that option." If the speaker sounds hesitant or uncertain, you can infer that they're not very confident about the solution. If someone sounds relieved or grateful, you can infer that the problem has been resolved to their satisfaction. These emotional signals often show up in the answer choices for inference questions, so training yourself to pick up on tone of voice will give you a real scoring advantage. It's also worth remembering that the tone of part 1 conversations is usually polite and relatively informal. Neither speaker is going to be angry or aggressive. So when you notice a change in tone, it usually signals an important shift in the conversation. These shifts are often exactly what the questions are testing. By the way, if you want this channel to keep going, write yes in the comments, click like and subscribe. We only make videos that you actually want to watch. Now, let's continue with 4 more essential tips for CELPIP listening, part 1. Tip number 7 is simple but extremely important. Don't get stuck on one question. You only have 30 seconds to hear and answer each question. If you spend too long debating between 2 answer choices, you'll miss the chance to answer the next question confidently. Remember that you can't go back to a previous question once the timer has moved on. The best approach is to use your notes to answer the question quickly. If you're unsure, eliminate the options that are clearly wrong. Make your best choice and move on. It's better to answer every question with your best effort than to get one question right and miss the next 2 because you ran out of time. Also remember that points are not deducted for incorrect answers. This means there is absolutely no benefit to leaving a question blank. If you're not sure, pick the answer that seems most reasonable based on what you heard and keep moving. Tip number 8 is to identify the keywords in each question before you start answering it. The questions in part 1 are read aloud to you, so you can't see the questions. This means you need to be listening carefully from the moment the narrator begins speaking. As soon as you hear a question, focus on the most important words in it, the words that tell you exactly what kind of information you need. For example, the question might say, "What does the man suggest the woman should do?" The keywords are man, suggest, and woman. You know you're looking for a suggestion made by the man. This kind of keyword focus can help you match the question to the right part of your notes and to the right part of the conversation you heard. Practice this skill when you prepare for the test. Recognizing keywords should become a quick, automatic habit that saves you precious seconds during the test. Once you're used to focusing on keywords, you'll find that the moment you hear the question, your brain is already scanning your notes for the exact piece of information you need. Let's continue with tip number 9. Watch out for trap answers. This is one of the most important strategies for scoring highly on part 1. The test designers often include answer choices that use words or phrases directly from the conversation, but they use them in a way that changes or twists the meaning. For example, imagine the woman in the conversation says, "I was hoping to find a store near the subway station." A trap answer might say, "The woman found a store near the subway station." This answer uses exact words from the audio, but it changes the meaning from hoping to find to found. Candidates who aren't reading carefully will choose this answer because it sounds familiar. Another type of trap involves answer choices that are true in general, but are not actually supported by what the speaker said. Always base your answers on what you heard in the audio. Don't base them on what you already know about a topic or what seems logical outside of the conversation. Finally, here is tip number 10. Use the elimination strategy whenever you're unsure about an answer. Many candidates try to find the correct answer by looking for the option that sounds the most familiar or the most reasonable. However, a much more reliable approach is to go through each answer choice and look for clear reasons to rule it out. Once you eliminate the options that are definitely wrong, the correct answer becomes much easier to identify. In part 1, wrong answer choices typically fall into a few predictable patterns. Some options contain information that was mentioned in the audio, but doesn't actually answer the question being asked. Others include details that were never said at all. They might sound plausible, but if you can't connect them to something a speaker actually said, you can eliminate them. A third type contradicts what the speaker said directly. When you recognize these patterns, you stop guessing and start making confident, logical decisions. For example, the question might ask what solution the man recommended. You remember from your notes that he suggested 2 options: exchanging the item or getting store credit. So you can immediately eliminate any answer choice that refers to something else, like a refund or a phone number. This narrows your choices down fast. Even if you're not 100% certain which of the remaining options is correct, you've already significantly improved your odds. And since there's no penalty for a wrong answer, make your best guess before the 30 seconds run out. These are 10 tips you must know to score highly on listening to problem solving. If you want expert guidance for your CELPIP preparation, check out our CELPIP packages using the link below. Our packages include step-by-step guidance, mock tests, templates, and other useful resources to help you feel confident on test day. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you're notified when the next video comes out. Also, share this video with your friends so they can improve their CELPIP score too. See you in the next video!